Stick.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Champions of Inspiration. Today we have a true champion of inspiration here. I mean, he is a podcaster. He's an influencer. He's got a real estate team. He's got an investment team. He's a top performance coach for Time to Shine performance. He's so many things, and you're going to learn about him right now. Scott Ferguson, thanks for joining us here on Champions of Inspiration.
Mr. Schilling, thank you so much. I'm blessed and highly favored to be on your show, brother. Thank you.
Well, and certainly wanted to have you here. You had me on your show, Time to Shine, and that was a blast. So how long you been doing your show and helping people level up?
The show has launched December 19th of 2019. We have about almost 290 episodes. My whole profit, I did it as a selfish endeavor because I could meet people like you. It was right before COVID, actually, but COVID had put it on steroids, for lack of a better term, and it was allowed me to really meet people, again, like yourself, people that are helping others from a place of service level up. Okay, and so, but it just turned into, I believe COVID had a lot to do with it. Turned into a lot of listens kind of right off the bat because I'm high energy. I like to have fun. I pull a lot of good stuff out of my interviewees, and I just love to meet new people. And then we launched it and we have almost 1.1 million downloads, listens. So we get a lot of traction, a lot of pretty good feedback from people. And I keep my shows short, under 30 minutes. So my avatar of a listener is someone driving to work, really looking to level up in an aspect of their life. And I get a lot of what's the best praise I ever get is a video of somebody that's listening to my podcast while they're videoing themselves on their way to work. That's exactly, awesome. I nailed it, man. So that's where I know that I really am trying to make that little dent of a difference, man.
So your motto with Time to Shine is, we don't want anyone to feel like they have no one.
Yes, sir.
So how do you do that?
It goes back. I was born in 72, so I just turned 50 this year. And I was born in the Philippines, okay? And my father was an American GI. My biological father was American GI, knocked up my Filipino mother, and out I came. But the thing is back then, mixed breed males were frowned upon because I'm 6'1", 260, pretty well put together. And like they were literally taking the male babies, the bastard children, from the mother and shipping them to Spain because Spain controls the Philippine Islands. Okay, so instead of that happening, my mom kind of hid me a little bit, found an Air Force couple that was looking to adopt, and they started the adoption process, got me a temporary passport to come to the United States. And then when we got here, my mother, my would have been adoptive mother, her father passed away. She goes schizophrenic. They can't raise me. So I ended up in an orphanage. Kind of did the orphanage thing, got picked up by an awesome couple who I call my mother and father that lived in Detroit, Michigan. And they flew me from California to Cincinnati, Ohio. And my parents drove down through a blizzard, got me. But the second they went to hand me over, they put cuffs on my dad, thinking it was child smuggling, right? So it only took a couple minutes for them to understand, but that's just kind of a funny part of the story. Got to Michigan, and this is the 70s still, and their skin color meant a lot. So I was never really my parents made me feel really in, but the rest of kind of maybe family and friends kind of looked at me like, what's going on? Who are you? Why are you? And then my father, unfortunately, was a Vietnam vet, very bad drinker. He's my best friend, and we talk to each other 3 days a week. We're really tight now, but he was a drinker, so they couldn't raise me. So I went from family to family to family. So I built up this facade of abandonment. So I went through a lot of that. Got raised by my dad's brother and my aunt and uncle. They raised me. They were fantastic, but he was a Marine, and it was like really, really strict. And I excelled at sports. I did pretty well, but my grade point average was about 1.8. So nobody was really saying, hey, come to Purdue, like someone here on the other line. It was like, hey, come here. So my dad was like, yeah, you're not living here rent free. So literally I went in the military. That's where I found family. Did 6 deployments, went 36 countries, went around the world, seen a lot of stuff. I was one of the first people on station for Operation Desert Shield into Desert Storm. Did a lot of fun stuff, have friends, and I found that family. Get out of the Navy 7 years later, was right back to like what's going on. So again, I was feeling like I didn't have anybody, right? So really found out by personal training people, found some great mentors that helped me really build a real estate business, a real estate portfolio. And I didn't listen to them when I was making money, market crash, and I was living homeless with my Rhodesian Ridgeback, squatting in listings that I had for short sales. Like they would leave and go out of state, and I would literally sleep in their house. So I ended up like coming back from that. Someone had me an awesome book by Andy Andrews called The Traveler's Gift. Really read it, started taking responsibility, and really started rebuilding my real estate business, and which led into online business and helping people level up. So really, we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one, because I've walked a kind of a crazy path, even like my mom, I left this up, but my mom kept my twin sister and gave me up to save my life. So I ended up running into my twin in 2004, got reunited with her, and come to find out she's a real estate agent like I was. Weird, right?
That is weird.
But we ended up, so since 2009, I've had time to shine today. And I wanted time to shine, but it was already taken. So I had to add the today on the end. But it's just something that I put out really good content, get to interview people like yourself and put that out to help people level up. So that's my long story, or I guess my short story long of, how I got to really, we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one.
No, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Obviously,
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
people don't, I don't think, honor that enough these days. So thank you for that. I think it's fascinating. Many people, many coaches that I talk to or influencers today are those who have had some fairly rough upbringing,
Sure.
or they have been through some stuff, right? And it's not the stuff that we go up against, it's how we come through it, and then how we can utilize that to be of service to other people. Are you feeling that's where your foundation comes from, that perseverance?
Yeah, it came from a really huge form of insecurity, thinking that I had to prove myself at all times. Huge chip on my shoulder, which led to a lot of ego, which led to trying to show off and make people think that I was more than what I was. Monetarily, I was fantastic. I had it. But when you go home and you're sitting there and you're like, wait a minute, it doesn't feel right. Something's not there. And then when I was handed that book by Andy Andrews, The Traveler's Gift, and just a real quick synopsis is, the dude's about ready he loses his job. His daughter's about ready to die, or she's on her deathbed. So he decides to end it and end his life. And so like he runs into a tree and he wakes up in 1945 in front of Give 'em Hell, Harry Truman. And he taught responsibility to him. And then it went to King Solomon for wisdom, Anne Frank for happiness, Abraham Lincoln for decision-making, and even the Archangel Gabriel about the future. And it just really said, well, wait a minute, man, I'm not serving enough. It's just not happening. And I was taking a lot more. I mean, heck, my company in Michigan was called Vulture Capital. I was preying on other people's misfortunes when they were losing their houses to foreclosure. And so God, set me straight. I'm God-fearing, and I'm proud of that. But God set me straight and said, hey, man, we're going to have to go through an adjustment period. And he put me there. So, yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's amazing how that happens.
Sure.
And we all tend to get through that a variety of different ways. My latest book, That Sucks, What Now, really comes from a variety of different not so pleasant things, but it's not about the not so pleasant things. It's about the solutions learned, the lessons learned, how we can translate those lessons to serve other people. And again, your statement is level up. Well, I mean, it's hard to level up if you're already up, it's one of those things. More than likely you've gotten knocked down. Getting knocked down isn't the issue. It's getting up, and how many times, and what do you do with it when you get there? So what kind of lessons, or what would be maybe one of your favorite lessons? And I know the how you got there probably isn't as fun, but the one of the things that you use to really get people to consider for turning themselves around.
I put anybody, I speak a lot on this, a couple things. One, or actually three things. One is, don't take life too seriously. You're never making it out alive, right? So you got to have some humor within your life. Secondly, I tell people, listen, overlap your happiness. Everything's finite, including the good things. So bad things happen, it's going to end. Good things happen, it's going to end. If I'm like, hey, Scotty, let's come speak on a stage here in South Florida, you're like, all right, I'm going to see Fergie. You get there, we rock the stage, but you're still catching that flight back, right? So it's like consistently think of things that make you happy. And the way that I am happy is through complimenting and giving gratitude to other people. I make 2 New Year's resolutions every year since 2009 is 1, I make someone smile every day. And 2, unless I disrespect you or hurt you, I give 0, what you think about me. I just don't. And the third thing that we get into is the plus minus equals. So I find somebody and I tell my clients, find somebody that's better than you at what you're doing. Okay, that's your plus, right? Find somebody that's equal to you and share some trade secrets to level up. And then find someone that's lesser than you or on their way up to where you're at, and give them your secrets, pay it forward, and be those shoulders of the giant that they're standing on looking forward. So that's really my big 3 keys and takeaways, is not taking life too seriously, overlap your happiness, and the plus equal minus, man. That's how I live my life every day.
Yeah, no, I love that. I was doing a radio interview yesterday, and we were talking, and when I got out of the hospital and finally tried to normalize after my near-death experience, went to a grocery store with my wife. In the first aisle, somebody was walking up, and I smiled at her, and the look on her face was like, oh my God, what is this guy doing, right? Second
Right.
aisle, there was somebody else, and I smiled at her, and she turned around and walked the other way. And so the third aisle, as a woman was walking towards me, I put the cart across the aisle to block her way purposely. And I said, I'm going to smile at you. And I smiled, and she goes, why'd you do that? And I said, because I could.
Right.
He goes, well, would you give me a hug too? And
oh, really?
Yeah, it was this great lesson of, like you say, make somebody smile.
Hey,
you don't take it all so seriously. What's fun about doing, I think it's interesting as I go through this litany of guests, some very well known, some totally unknown, and everything in between.
Sure.
Some people are so formal about wanting to be on the show, and just have to have everything all buttoned up and all that. And they go, well, where are we going to go with this interview? I said, I got no clue. It all depends on what you say. I'm following you on this. So I think that's the fun. And that was the fun of being on your show, is really following you and where you were taking it for the benefit of your audience.
Right.
Now, I know you do that from stage extremely well, and you rock the stage every time you're there. Any other secrets that you can share with anybody to just give them that little piece of encouragement that says, keep on going?
You know what? Like a lot of people are affirmations. I believe in them. Okay. But not every day can you attach emotion to the affirmations while you're doing. You need that, because anytime you make an affirmation, you can't tell me, you'd be lying to me, that there's not that little seed of doubt, right? That's there. So I really flipped it around. Something a mentor taught me is that I believe in powerful, lofty questions, period. So any affirmation you have, turn it into a question, because as the human mind, we are programmed to solve problems. So if you say, I never ask why, because I think why is a real judgmental question, but say, what is it taking me to make $10,000 a month? What is, or like, how is it that I am, 50 years old, super sexy, great body, just the things that you would say in an affirmation. So I really believe the questions are more important than really the affirmations to answer your question. That's a nugget that I was taught, is this consistently. And I had about 36 questions I ask myself 5 days a week. I treat it like a workout. I look at it, I meditate on it just for 4 or 5 minutes, and then I let my brain do the work. And that's one nugget that has supremely changed my life, because I'll go back through the questions. I'm like, man, I have to level up this question because I'm already there. It's already happening. It's happening on a daily, right? So it's just powerful questions. And everything we do in life, which I'm sure you'll agree, Scotty, is that everything is a question. If you're driving down the street and you need to make a left, some fires in your brain says, do I turn on my blinker? If you're a good driver, you're going to answer that yes and turn the blinker on, right? If you don't, that's still fine. You're still answering the question. So everything is a question in life.
Again, love that. And I love the fact that, you're crediting your mentor. I've written checks to probably 19 mentors across my career.
That's
Every
awesome.
time I wanted to, gain a piece of knowledge in an area,
Sure.
I went to seek out the very best in that area. Why learn from somebody who's not the best, right?
Right.
And then be able to share it with people. Why is having a mentor so important?
I believe that the more you mentor, the more immortal you become, right? So if someone's passing that on to me in a mentorship role, I'm going to use that and I'm going to level up. And I'm going to always say Sam Mizuraka, Gary Shapiro, my two mentors throughout life that really, really helped me level up. So I really believe that mentoring is the utmost of importance. And I try to mentor as many people as I can. I'm really mentoring now pro bono, and I do that in air quotes if you're watching or listening. I do it with high school children or kids, children, and basically I do it from a point of finance because they don't teach finance in school.
Right.
So Thursdays I go to the high school. After I record my podcast interviews, I go to the high school and I teach a course on financial education. And so that's like my way of kind of like paying it forward to get that next generation up and say, listen, dude, this is how you balance a checkbook. This is this, but it's always paying it forward. And, we say here at Time to Shine Today, my whole team is like, we give until it hurts so good. So the only way you can really do that is by mentoring, and whether what you're doing in life.
Well, one of the things that I share quite often is that, a 7-year-old can mentor a 10-year-old.
Sure.
It's not about age, or it's about where they are at the moment.
Thank you.
It is somebody knows a piece of information you don't know that you need to know. And you have a piece of information that somebody needs that they don't know.
Right.
And so again, I think I love the fact that you're doing it in schools, especially with financial literacy, financial education. We have a definite problem with
Huge.
that in the world right now, not just in the United States. I mean, it's worldwide.
Right.
Have never understood why financial literacy was not a mainstay, not a required course anywhere.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, you and I both probably have some ideas, but it's not right. I don't feel comfortable talking about it on a podcast, but it's the hierarchy above us doesn't want us to know, in a sense. And that's where I believe. And again, I'm not saying you believe it, but I just, that's how I believe that they're not pushed towards it, because they fear that, the more you educate somebody, the less you need them.
Well, that's exactly it. True freedom comes through education.
Thank you very much. There you go.
Is having the knowledge, and the knowledge gives you then the confidence to take action.
So good, yeah.
Right. And so it's about taking those actions. The only way you can gain feedback in anything is to take an action.
You said, what, I did this throughout our whole interview, but you said knowledge gives you confidence to take action.
Yep.
I'm writing that down, man. Thank you.
Oh my God. Well, the reality is, it's funny. I had a coaching client one day. She goes, I'm stuck. I said, good, move. She goes, no, you don't seem to understand. I'm stuck. I said, no, I'm pretty sure I understand. Move.
Right.
And she goes, no, I am really stuck. And I said, good, really move.
Right.
And she said, what are you saying to me? And I said, can you feel your right foot? And she said, yes. I said, can you move it? And she goes, yes, I just did. I said, good, you're no longer stuck.
There you go.
I said, the only way you can gain feedback in any situation is to take an action, is to move. It's
Yes.
not about being off course throughout your life. I
Mm.
can assure you, you will be off course far more than you're ever on course in your life.
True.
That is not
Absolutely.
the,
Right.
the opportunity lies in being off course less often, less far.
Love it. I remember
That's
you saying that on my show too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking that we went through that, and
Yeah.
it's the reality of it, right?
Sure.
So I mean, when especially when you were bounced around with homes
Mm.
and then going into the military and doing things, was everything always done correctly?
Never. Never
Never.
done
And so
correctly.
you
Yeah.
had to be adaptive, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we say, winners make adjustments. I don't say losers, but mediocre people make excuses. So you have to adjust on the fly, like you were telling that lady. Action helps with the adjustments to adjust to the situation. I love that. I love
And
that.
we had I had a former NFL player on the show the other day, and it's a great line. Wish I would have thought of it, but he said we weren't born winners or losers. We were
Mhm.
born choosers.
I love it.
Isn't that a good one?
Oh man,
Sean Harper, give him credit.
I've had him on. I've had him on. Yeah.
Great guy. But again, what I appreciate about you and what you're working to do is you're sharing a lot of stages. You're getting out there. You're between your podcasts. You're very visible
Mm.
in helping people live their dream.
Sure.
Right? It's not
Right.
your dream.
Nope.
It's their dream.
Right. And I take that to,
Why is that so important to you?
because it's doing it for the intention instead of the attention. I
Right.
get it. I when I get on stage, I am that guy that is like, oh, here comes the rebounder, here comes the trampoline guy. The first 2.5 minutes is me, 260 pounds on a trampoline, and telling them the benefits of rebounding, because it changed my life. When you're off the rebounder, you're at 0 gravity. When you hit the rebounder, you're at 4 times gravity. So it's cleaning out your lymph system. Your body needs its lymph system cleared out because your heart beats at night to cleanse your blood while you're recovering, but the lymph system is stacked with cancer, leukemia, all that stuff. So the first 2.5 minutes is me, and I've got it to the point now, Scotty, where I'm not out of breath at the end of the 2.5 minutes. I'm rebounding. The best part is they're all going like this, or they're going to start affirming what I'm going to talk about. Whatever I'm speaking on, whether it's overlapping your happiness or getting your ass in gear, ASK, whatever it takes. So yeah, it's the energy is there, and I am me off the mic, in public, exactly like you see on my podcast, man. I am that's me. I'm a Midwestern guy that lives in South Florida now, and you're talking about people smiling and like looking at you like you're crazy. I live in Jupiter, Florida, about 60 miles north of Miami, on the east side of I-95 that runs right up to New York, Philly, Boston. All those people that are really edgy. You try smiling at them and they're like, what? So, and I'm a big hugger. Like when I meet you, I'm going to give you the biggest hug, dude.
Yep.
And just be like, Scotty. And that's who I am. I'm also a lot of an introvert. Like I love going to dinner by myself. It's weird. I have the most beautiful lady in the world, and we do have our dinners and stuff, but I love just going and sitting by myself with a book, and I have no problems being in a fine dining restaurant with a book. And I promise the waiter I'll tip, what it would be for 2 meals, so it's, I am, man. I am a happy dude. I went through a lot of stuff, but I've learned to learn from it instead of being a victim to it. It's just fun. But it's for the intention and not the attention, man.
Well, I love that. It's for the intention, not the attention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of great nuggets being dropped here. I would encourage everybody, if you haven't been taking notes, come back and watch and listen again, because there's a lot of really good stuff here. I think it's interesting because we didn't talk about the fact that you're kind of an introvert,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those where, but I believe that not that I shouldn't believe you, but again, I've seen so many people in the industry who they're so passionate, intentionally, right? Which is why they're a little inward looking. but
Right.
but that passion comes out, and that's when they become that
Right.
guy on the rebounder on stage and things like that.
And then afterwards, everybody is coming up to you, and I love it. It's great. But I also, when I leave, it's like, I'm not a go to the bar guy. I mean, I'll go have a drink with somebody if they're at a conference or whatever, but I'm not that guy that just hangs out. I mean, I'm like, I love my time. We talked off camera, off mic about, I love to read, man. I always have 5-6 books going at a time. And it's just, to me, that's who I am. But when I'm around people, I have a hard time being the star. Okay, meaning the guy, and I'm starting to get pushed into this. And it's something that I'm working with my coach on, and how to accept it, because I that's not what I want. I want to impact people. I want to plant trees that I'll never sit in the shade of, with service. That's me, man. But it's fun. At the same time, there's a challenge to it, and
No doubt.
just kind of navigating the waters, which I know, because when you rock stages and people are like, Scott, and you have to work with it.
Well, it's an interesting thing. You have to be comfortable in, and you say it. One of the ways that I share it is high intention, low attachment. High intention of imparting something great, or helping somebody some way. A low attachment as to what the result is, how it's helped them, how it's worked, any of those things,
or even what you get in return.
Exactly what you get in return, any and all of that.
Yeah.
You got to be comfortable that you're out there doing the right things for the right reasons.
Right. Yep.
And you're certainly, you are certainly doing that with your podcast and your speaking. Thanks, and the things that you're doing. Very impressive.
Thank you.
How about, we're starting to wind down on time here. How about a piece of wisdom, one last chunk, not a nugget. Now this is a chunk to let everybody cogitate on a little bit here.
There's so many people. One, do it scared. No matter what, do it scared. Okay. And secondly, if you sit in your car, that rearview mirror is a lot smaller than the dashboard. The past is a great place to visit, but don't make a home there. Right. And so many people have a foot in the future, foot in the past, and they piss all over the present. So while you're in there looking out that dashboard, start being very intentional about what you're doing. If you're a 9-to-5er, that's fine. You be the best 9-to-5 that you can, be the best person you can, and don't live in that rearview mirror, because the whole world's open to you. Unless God takes you in a car wreck or a plane crash or something crazy, you can do, and we live in the best country in the world. Sorry, what we do, people. And you can do what you want. If it's your choice to 9-to-5, be the best 9-to-5er that you can. And if it's, you're a bank teller, be the best bank teller. Just be the best of your possible ability that you can.
Yeah, I love that. Maximize what God's granted you and utilize those talents.
Oh my gosh. I know we're getting short, that you just nailed something right there. Maximize. It's like, if you're not doing what you're capable of, it's a sin. And I don't mean that in a religious context. Sin comes from the Greek root word of sinning, which means missing the mark. So I tell my clients all the time, the first time I'm like, hey, you're sinning. They're like, huh? And I'm like, not religiously, you're missing the mark. I love that you just brought that up. You and I've learned so much from you also, but it's just like, you and I are kind of like brothers from different mothers, just a few years apart.
Yeah, that's why we got to.
And I'm sorry, you went to Iowa, not Purdue. I'm sorry I said that.
That's right. Well, it's okay. I wasn't going to call you on that. That's don't worry, Herky will hit you by lightning and keep on doing things like that. No, that's why I think it'd be fun to do a live event together.
Oh my gosh.
Really,
we're gonna have so much fun.
Share. It's interesting because everybody takes information differently, and they take it from people differently, and it's fun when the presenters, although they have similar yet different styles,
right,
can cover a greater breadth of audience, because of the little intricacies and things going on. So how do people get a hold of you, and how do they listen to Time to Shine today?
We're on all platforms that you can find a podcast. It's Time to Shine Today. Make sure you put the today in there. I have a little bit of a rift going with Time to Shine podcast. And because I have my guests introduce themselves, and a couple of them said "Time to Shine" podcast. They're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't the time," So it's Time to Shine Today, or you can go to timetoshinetoday.com, and I would say /podcast. That way you can listen to our shows. And then we also have a high performance coaching program. I work one-on-one. I'm not a group coach. I work one-on-one. So if you're looking and you're stuck and you want to power through something, I'd be happy to send over an onboarding and have you. That's just timetoshinetoday.com/onboard. You can fill it out, take you about 4 minutes. And we would love to have a 10, 15, 30-minute free chat with you and see what we can help you break through.
Awesome. So I would encourage you to do that. I mean, listen to the podcast. So many great guests.
So fun.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was a lot of fun doing it in return. Thank you so much for being here, Fergie. Just really appreciate you. And thanks for joining us here on Champions of Inspiration.
I appreciate you, Scotty. I love your guts, man. I say that for real. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so blessed.
Absolutely. We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
And all of you, thanks for joining us on Champions of Inspiration today. See you again tomorrow, the next event. God bless.